You think breaking up is the end. Are you sure? They're gone. Some relationships don't end when you say, "We're done." They just change form. Someone watches your Instagram stories. Someone leaves notes on your window, the one no one else knows the address to. And someone lives in your ceiling, quietly recording every breath you take. In this video, you'll hear 3 true stories. No blood, no ghosts. Just ex-lovers who refuse to become the past. A girl moves into a new apartment to escape the past. But each night, the closet door opens on its own, and footprints appear where no one stands. She blocked him. But every morning, there's a new photo of me, sleeping. Social media no longer connects them, but he doesn't need Wi-Fi. One last date, a strange message, and a USB containing footage you never filmed. If you've ever ended a relationship and still felt like it wasn't over, this video is for you. And if you're alone right now, close the curtains, lock the door, and look up at the ceiling. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, because the scariest story is at the end. Claire Holloway moved into her 4th-floor apartment on a drizzly Monday afternoon, carrying the last box in her arms and a dry, unblinking stare. She didn't cry, not because she was strong, but because she'd run out of tears after 3 months of breaking up with Ben, the ex with a voice like honey, and hands that knew how to tighten around a throat. The apartment was small, with faded white paint, slightly warped wooden floors, and a window overlooking a barren parking lot. Claire thought, maybe quiet is good. But after just 1 week, that quiet began to feel off. At first, it was small things. The TV remote she left on the table somehow rolled under the couch. Her charging cord was unplugged, though she used it that morning. One time, she caught the gas stove slightly turned on. The faint smell of gas lingered in the kitchen, even though no one had touched it. She told herself she was just being forgetful. But on the 10th night, as Claire was about to go to bed, she noticed the closet door slightly ajar. That door, she distinctly remembered locking it from the inside. She froze. Her palms turned ice cold. Inside were neatly folded clothes, a few cardboard boxes, and an old hoodie, the last gift from Ben. She had meant to throw it out long ago, yet now it was hanging neatly, perfectly aligned, as if someone had just worn it. Claire began locking her bedroom door every night. She stopped turning on the TV. The noise made her feel too distracted. In the nights that followed, creaking sounds echoed from somewhere, sometimes from the ceiling, sometimes from within the walls. This apartment didn't have an attic, but sometimes Claire was certain someone was walking very lightly above her head. Then one night, Claire dreamed of Ben. The dream was vivid, almost real. He stood by her bed, leaning in close, whispering with an icy breath, "You can't run forever." Claire jolted awake. Her forehead was damp with sweat. The clock read exactly 3:08 a.m. The dim yellow light cast a glow on the closet door, which was now slightly open. No sound, no wind, no reason it should be open, unless someone had just stepped out from inside. After that night, Claire truly stopped sleeping. She went to work with dark circles under her eyes, drank black coffee like poison, just to stay awake. Every time she stood in the elevator going home, her stomach clenched as if she were rising inside a steel box, with something waiting on the 4th floor. She told no one, because she knew no one would believe her. People always label women like her, women who walk away from damaging relationships with trembling legs and shattered memories. as suffering from post-breakup delusions. Claire had loved Ben too much. He was the kind who spoke gently, brought flowers on the right days, and knew how to listen. But beneath that charm was quiet control. First, it was her phone password, then cutting off male friends, and finally, he had a key to her place, though Claire never gave him one. A week before the breakup, she discovered Ben had been tracking her phone location for 2 months, and that night, for the first time, he slapped her. Not hard, but enough for Claire to understand that if she stayed, the next hit would be a punch. She left the next morning, blocked every contact, and thought that was the end. But someone like Ben doesn't end the usual way. Claire started getting texts from an unknown number, just photos of her at work, in line to buy coffee, coming home, all taken from a distance through a telephoto lens. No messages, no emojis, just silent snapshots of her life under surveillance. She went to the police, but all they had were a few photos from an anonymous number. No threats, no violence. Might just be trolling, the young officer shrugged, then added, "Are you sure you're not imagining things?" Claire went home, her throat trembling. That night, as she walked into her bedroom, she noticed her phone, left charging since morning, had been unplugged. The socket was neat, the cable coiled, exactly the way Ben used to do it when he lived here. A chill ran down her spine. She started checking every corner of the apartment, under the bed, behind the curtains, inside the closet. Nothing. Until she looked up and saw the small metal latch on the ceiling, leading to the utility crawl space. Claire had never noticed it before, but now it stared down like a black, unblinking eye. She grabbed a chair and stood up, opened it. The old wooden panel creaked and popped loose. A musty, cold air spilled out. Claire shone her phone's flashlight inside, and she saw faint, dusty footprints on the wooden boards. A filthy blanket was rolled up in the corner, empty instant noodle cups, a pack of used cigarettes, and an old phone, Ben's old iPhone, next to a printed photo of Claire sleeping, faded on a strip of old fax paper. Claire fell off the chair, hands shaking violently. He never left. He had been living on the ceiling, right above her. Claire didn't remember how she ended up curled in the corner of the room. Her eyes stayed locked on the black void in the ceiling. What was once an innocent patch of darkness now felt like a silent curse staring back at her. She didn't scream, didn't have the breath for it. In her head, a voice, not Ben's, but something primal, whispered frantically, "Don't move, don't make a sound, don't let him know you know." Claire picked up her phone, fingers trembling as she dialed 911. But when she held it to her ear, only a dry beep came through. No signal. She'd forgotten one thing. This building had a dead zone, and the fourth-floor apartment was right in the middle of it. Quietly, she backed into the bathroom, locked the door behind her, and trapped herself inside. Her eyes scanned the room for anything she could use as a weapon. The only thing that came close was a broken toilet brush handle. She crouched behind the sink, trying not to breathe too loudly. Then, the sounds began. From above, slow, deliberate footsteps, light, careful, like a predator testing its prey. Something was being dragged, fabric maybe, or a coat. Then the soft creak of hinges, the latch. She held her breath, and then a heavy thud, like something had dropped onto the bedroom floor. He was down. She heard the footsteps now, no longer sneaky but confident, familiar, as if he'd walked this path dozens of times, as if this was his home. Claire reached out and turned off the bathroom light. Darkness swallowed her, but it also shielded her. Outside, drawers opened, A soft laugh, unmistakably Ben's, echoed through the room. He was rifling through her things, clothes torn, papers hitting the floor. Then he called her name. "Claire? You know I hate having to look for you, right?" His voice was sweet as honey, but warped, like a doll left soaking in water too long. "Come out. I'm sorry. Let's start over, okay?" His footsteps approached the bathroom. A hand gripped the doorknob. He knocked. Knock. 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 "You in there?" Claire gripped the toilet brush handle tightly, eyes shut. If he came in, she would fight. Then sirens blared outside the window. A loudspeaker barked, "Police!" "Open the door," Claire screamed. Ben's voice hissed through the crack. "Who did you call, Claire? Who did you call?" The bathroom door rattled violently. Claire screamed again. Within 30 seconds, the front door exploded open. Shouts of "Clear!" echoed through the apartment. The bathroom door burst inward, flashlight beams blinding her eyes. Claire collapsed into the arms of an officer. Ben was gone. In the attic, they found evidence he'd been living there for weeks. A thin mattress, leftover food, scribbled notes tracking Claire's every move, now filthy and damp, like the mind of the man who had haunted her steps. Claire never returned to that apartment. The police held the scene for a few days, but eventually concluded the intruder had escaped through the rear fire escape, leaving behind a mess and a lingering sense of dread. No one has seen Ben since that night. He seemed to vanish into thin air, no cameras, no traces. All that remained were images recovered from the old phone police had confiscated. Hundreds of photos of Claire, sleeping, eating, reading, and one audio recording, a long sigh in the dark, mixed with a whisper, "She's mine." Claire relocated to a small town 200 miles away. She changed her last name, changed her phone number. She didn't use social media. Every night, she checked every lock, closed every curtain tight, and placed a paring knife under her pillow. She trained herself to sleep to white noise, just to drown out the feeling of someone breathing beside her ear. A month later, she received a package with no return address. Inside was a single Polaroid photo. She was standing by her new apartment window, holding a coffee mug, eyes gazing into the distance. The photo was taken from across the street. In red ink, a note read, "The light where you live is so warm. I miss the smell of your hair." Claire sat frozen for several minutes. Then she stood up, walked to the window, and slowly drew the curtain open. No one was there. No strange cars, no shadows. Only a small slip of paper was taped to the outside of the glass. A scrap of paper, scrawled in messy handwriting. "Don't lock the door. This time, I brought flowers." When Emily posted a picture of her breakfast on her Instagram story, just a slice of burnt toast and a cup of cold coffee, she didn't think much of it. A mindless habit. One photo each morning, a small glimpse into her life, like millions of others. But 5 minutes later, she received a message. Not a comment, not a like, but a photo. Taken from outside her apartment window at that exact moment. Emily froze. The photo, angled from the building across the street, showed her silhouette at the kitchen counter. Her hair was in a messy bun, that wide-neck gray sweater, and on the table, the very same cup of coffee and toast. It couldn't be a coincidence. There was no text, just a single emoji, a wide-open eye. Emily quickly checked her followers list. The sender used an unfamiliar account, no profile picture, no posts. She blocked it immediately. But the next morning, when she opened her hallway mailbox, there was a white envelope tucked inside. No sender name. Inside was a printed photo. Emily standing by the window the night before, drawing the curtain closed. This time, the angle was higher, closer, as if it had been taken from the neighboring rooftop. Panic began to set in. She had blocked every old account, especially Matt's, the ex who had stalked her for months after their breakup. He used to create dozens of fake profiles, to say good morning, to threaten her, to apologize, until Emily changed her number, her email, and then moved cities. She thought she'd escaped, but now she wasn't so sure. That night, she opened her laptop to check the front door security camera, but the app showed a connection error. She tried resetting it, no luck. A minute later, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number with a photo attached. It showed her staring at the laptop screen, the exact moment just now, the angle from directly behind her. Emily didn't sleep that night. She sat frozen on the couch, phone clutched tightly in her hand, the screen lighting up every few minutes with a new message from the unknown number. You look best when you don't know you're being watched. I miss the way you glance back after the knock. You haven't closed the kitchen curtains yet. No more photos, just words. But each sentence felt like a razor slice. No emojis, no typos, just cold, precise language, as if written by a machine or someone who'd been watching her for far too long. Emily called the police. The officer arrived at 2 a.m., his face tired, his eyes somewhere between belief and dismissal. He skimmed the messages, glanced at the mailbox, jotted a few notes, then said, "If there's no forced entry or direct threat, there's not much we can do." "Someone's taking pictures of me inside my own home," Emily snapped. "He knows everything I do." Uncovered windows, connected devices. Sometimes bad actors exploit remote access. We advise changing your Wi-Fi, updating passwords, and avoiding personal photo posts. It felt less like advice and more like a slap in the face. The next day, Emily invited Jay, her best friend from college, an IT specialist, to inspect the apartment top to bottom. Jay scanned all connected devices. After a long silence, he pulled out a tiny chip from inside her doorbell camera. "This doesn't belong to the manufacturer," Jay said. "Someone removed the original camera and installed an interception device. Every image was being relayed to a separate system, live, without needing internet." "He modified my camera?" "Not just that," Jay said. "This setup doesn't rely on a network. It's controlled by a nearby device, which means he's close. Close." Emily looked out the window. The apartments across the street were anonymous, gray walls, tightly drawn curtains. Jay checked the computer again. The hard drive wasn't hacked, but there's something strange. He pointed to the camera monitoring software. "It's still recording, but it's not feeding to your laptop." He clicked on a hidden folder. Inside were hundreds of video clips, footage of Emily in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the bathroom. Some of the clips were filmed from a very high angle, as if from the ceiling. Jay turned to her. "Have you ever checked your ceiling?" Emily nodded. "There's no attic, but there might be a crawl space." They pulled out the ladder and opened the ceiling hatch. A wave of musty air and dust spilled down, and in the darkness above, they saw an old phone. Beside it, empty ramen wrappers, battery packs, and a handwritten notebook. On the first page, in shaky red ink, Emily observation log, day 92. Emily's hands trembled as she picked up the notebook, dust clinging to her fingers like ash. Every page was covered in messy handwriting, filled with symbols, timestamps, and detailed descriptions of her smallest actions. 9:04 a.m. She smiled at a message from someone. "We'll investigate later." 10:32. She poured coffee. 3 sugars, no cream. Still keeping the old habit. 2:41. A strange man came over. They talked for too long. Not good. The last entries were written with darker strokes, as if scribbled in agitation. Day 92. She's starting to suspect. But it's okay. She'll understand. Day 93. I'll leave something behind. A message. A sign. She'll remember. Jay shut the notebook, his face pale. We need to get out. Right now. They packed up their things, contacted a private security firm, and checked into a temporary hotel. Emily switched her cameras to an offline device, completely unconnected. But that night, she couldn't sleep. Every gust of wind, every groan of the floorboards dragged her back into old memories of Matt. Matt had once loved her. Too much. The kind of love that doesn't take no for an answer. When Emily broke up with him, he silently waited outside her door for 3 nights, sent her old photos, and wrote letters saying he just wanted her to understand. And then, he disappeared. Emily thought he had let go. But the next morning, Jay called her out onto the hotel balcony. He was holding his phone, face as white as paper. "You need to see this." He opened a video that had just been sent to his phone from an unknown number. The clip was less than 10 seconds long. Emily, asleep in the hotel room, filmed up close, almost from inside the room. No sound, just flashing text at the end of the video. "Moving won't help. You are home." At that moment, the hotel room doorbell rang. Not a regular knock, but the electronic chime used by staff with key cards. Jay rushed to open it. No one was there. But on the tile floor, a small black USB drive had been left, resting on the carpet. Emily, shaking, plugged it into her laptop. Inside was a single folder, photos, dozens of new images of her picking a hotel room, eating dinner, sitting in an Uber, all shot from behind, from very close. Emily let go of the mouse, speechless. Matt didn't need the internet to follow her. He didn't need social media or her number or online access. He needed only one thing, to be close enough, to whisper. 2 days later, Emily disappeared from the hotel. No warning, no messages, no luggage. Jay called the police. When they arrived at the room, everything was still in place, except for a single printed photo lying neatly on the pillow. In the photo, Emily was sleeping. The shot was taken from above, from the exact spot where the smoke detector was mounted. A dim light cast across her face, unnaturally serene, as if she had given up and surrendered to the dream. On the back of the photo was a scrawled message written in red ink. "Sometimes, to be close, we have to erase the whole world." There were no signs of forced entry, no suspicious activity on hallway cameras. Hotel staff said they saw Emily leave at 2:17 a.m., wearing a hat, dark sunglasses, and carrying a suitcase. She didn't look nervous. She wasn't being coerced. She simply walked out like someone with a plan. Jay didn't believe it. He dug into the hotel's internal security footage, but the files from that night, specifically the floor where Emily had stayed, were completely wiped. No error, no malfunction. Someone had accessed the system and disabled just that area. The police couldn't do much. Emily became another missing person in a city full of eyes, but no one sees. A week later, Jay received a package. Inside was a wooden photo frame. The photo showed him standing in his kitchen, phone in hand, eyes looking toward the window. The angle, from directly behind him, very close. Beneath the image was a small line of text, the red ink beginning to bleed. Now, it's your turn." Sarah stared at the new text on her screen, her palms suddenly cold. "Just one cup of coffee, like the old days." Sender: Alex. 2 years ago, Alex had been everything to her: love, safety, and a quiet fear hidden behind gentle eyes. When they first met, he made her feel special, seen. But over time, that gentleness cracked into control. Her schedule scrutinized, her friends pushed away, every private space invaded under the guise of love. When Sarah left, it was after one night that she discovered his backup phone, filled with audio recordings of their conversations and location data she'd never shared. He didn't hit her, didn't yell. He just stood there, silent, and whispered, "You belong to me. No one understands you like I do." She cut all ties, moved houses, changed jobs, even changed her last name on Facebook. And yet now, his name lit up her screen, as if he had never left. Sarah didn't respond, but all that day, she felt eyes on the back of her neck. In her usual cafe, where she often journaled, she caught a glimpse of someone: tall, dark hair, a familiar gait. But when she turned, no one was there. That evening, another message arrived. Just a photo. A picture of the table in the corner of the cafe, her usual spot. On the table, a steaming cappuccino, a notebook, and her phone. The very phone she was holding in her hand. Sarah froze. The photo had been taken less than a minute ago. No shutter sound, no one nearby. Then a second message appeared. "I called. You owe me an ending." Sarah didn't reply to the message. Instead, she changed her passwords, turned off location services, and deleted all her social media apps. But deep down, she knew. Alex didn't need technology to find her. He didn't need to knock. He always found a way to enter without being invited. 3 days later, Sarah received a card left on her apartment door, wedged perfectly between the handle and the wooden frame like a cruel joke. Red ink. Handwritten. Still neat, just like all the apology letters he used to write. "Just one conversation. Our old cafe. 4 p.m. I'll come again if you don't show. Honor's promise." She didn't believe in the honor of someone who had tracked her every step for nearly 2 years. But she also knew. If she didn't go, he wouldn't stop. He never would. The cafe on the corner was still the same. Warm yellow lights, the faint smell of burnt espresso, and soft jazz playing in the background. Alex was sitting at the table in the back, their table. When she walked in, he simply nodded. No smile, no standing up. He looked different, thinner, tanned. But his eyes were the same. The eyes that once made her believe she was loved. Now they scanned her face like they were mapping it. "I just want to say one last thing," Alex began, his voice low, steady, emotionless. "I didn't come to blame you, just to understand." Sarah said nothing. She glanced around. No one was paying attention. He'd picked a slow hour. The cafe only had 2 other customers, both buried in their laptops. "I think about you every day," he continued. "I know you needed freedom, but sometimes you leave too many traces." She frowned. "What traces?" He smiled faintly. "Your password is still the name of that college cat." Sarah's stomach dropped. She'd never told anyone. Only Alex. Once. 3 years ago. "You hacked my accounts?" she whispered, her voice dry as paper. "No," he replied, sipping his coffee. "I never left." She stood up, but his hand gently caught her wrist. Not tight, but cold enough to chill her to the bone. "I'll let you go," he said. "But before that, you should know. The man you live with now, that architect, He doesn't always lock the balcony windows, does he? Sarah went numb. He let go of her hand, still smiling. Next time, check after 11 p.m. It gets windy. Sarah left the cafe on unsteady feet. Her hands trembled violently, as if every vein had just been drained dry. She didn't look back, didn't dare check if Alex was following, but she knew he didn't need to follow. He'd always been there. When she got home, the door was still locked. Everything looked untouched, but Sarah no longer trusted appearances. She went straight to the bedroom, locked the door, and checked every corner. Under the bed, inside the closet, drawers. Nothing. She tried to reassure herself. He's just trying to scare me. Then she saw it, a small wooden box placed neatly in the center of the bed. No name, no sign of forced entry. But the way it sat there, perfect, like a punctuation mark that didn't need words. Sarah opened the box. Inside was a beige handkerchief, embroidered with her name, the one she thought she'd lost 2 years ago. Alongside it, a silver USB drive and a handwritten note. "We once had so much. I just want you to remember." Sarah inserted the USB into her laptop, hesitating for a few seconds before clicking. A single folder appeared. Moments. She opened it. Inside were hundreds of photos, not from Instagram, not from social media. All real-life, candid shots, taken secretly over the past 2 years. Her sleeping, brushing her teeth, reading a book, hugging her new boyfriend. One video was longer, filmed from the balcony on a rainy night, showing her wrapped in a blanket, crying alone. And at the end, one final clip. The footage was shaky, male breathing close to the mic. Alex's voice whispered, "You thought I couldn't come in anymore, but I never needed the door. You still keep my old things, right? I used one of them." The next scene was inside the apartment, filmed through the bedroom balcony door. He was sneaking in, step by step. He just stood there, watching Sarah sleep, then moved closer, brushing her hair gently, the camera shaking from his heavy breathing. The screen went black. She vomited on the spot. Police arrived in less than an hour, but there were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints. No one is in the apartment building's security footage. No evidence, except a new message left open on her computer screen, typed in Notepad, time-stamped 15 minutes before she called the police. "You forgot to lock the screen." 3 days later, Sarah left the city. She told no one except one close friend, cut off her phone, deleted all online accounts. She rented a new apartment in a quiet suburb where no one knew her name, where no one had ever seen her face. But sleep still didn't come. Every night, Sarah lay still in bed, the dim nightlight casting a soft glow on the ceiling. She could hear every gust of wind slipping through the cracks, every creak of the wooden floor shifting with temperature. Each sound became a warning. Every shadow felt like an unread message. She didn't dare pull the curtains. She didn't use cameras. She only had a steel security bar installed behind the balcony door and checked the lock 3 times before bed. By the second week, she started to feel it. Someone watching. Not from in front, from behind. One evening, while at her therapist's office, where she was scheduled for trauma support, she sat beside a large window, looking out over the parking lot bathed in white light. And then she saw him. Just a glimpse. A tall, slender figure in a felt hat, standing about 30 meters away, where the light met the dark. He didn't move, didn't come closer, just watched, as if waiting for the lights to go out. She turned to the therapist, trying to stay calm. "Do you have cameras outside?" He nodded. "Of course. Are you feeling watched?" Sarah nodded, trembling. He looked at her, hesitated. That's strange, because the clinic received a parcel this morning, addressed to you. He handed her a small box wrapped in black paper. Inside was a cold cup of coffee in a white ceramic mug printed with red text. This time, I made the coffee extra strong. 3 stories, 3 relationships that seem to have ended. But as you've just seen, not everyone leaves when the door closes. Some stay in the shadows of a camera, behind the curtain, or deeper still, inside your mind. And if you think these things only happen in movies, remember, everything you heard tonight was based on true events. Tell us, which situation scared you the most in these 3 stories? Or have you ever felt like an ex was watching you? Comment down below, because who knows, your story might be featured in the next video. Don't forget to like this video if it made you breathe just a little slower. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chilling night, and turn on notifications, because we upload right around the time. Most people think they're safe. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video. And remember, don't believe what you see. Believe in what's watching you.